It's often said that when you feed stock, you aren't actually feeding the animal so much as you're feeding the microbes that live inside them. These microbes, which live in the rumen of the animal, all have essentially the same job of taking hard to digest compounds like cellulose, hemicellulose and lignin and turning them into easily digestible bioavailable products for the animal to use. However, the rumen is actually a dynamic and always changing ecosystem full of different types of microbes, all of which have different life strategies and different products from the same inputs. Some of these products are better than others for the animal, and one product includes methane. When people talk about the methane emissions of livestock, I think it's often assumed that people are talking about farts. However, 90% of the methane which a sheep produces is actually released by the mouth through a burp. This methane contains carbon and hydrogen, all the essential ingredients required to make glucose for growth for the animal and maintenance energy. However, when they just burped out, this is no longer available for the animal. So what if we could find a way to change which microbes are present in the rumen and therefore change which products are made to favour the ones that we want? Well, this part of the story actually takes us to an interesting place. Our story begins with a seaside dairy farmer in a paddock in Canada who realised that the cows in the paddock closest to the ocean were actually putting on weight and gaining performance quicker than the cows in other paddocks. He would experiment by moving seaweed around from the seaside paddock to the other ones and found that it was the seaweed that was actually causing it. So he called Dr. Rob Finley, a nutritionist who's now working for the CSIRO in Australia. Dr. Finley would experiment with the seaweed and different types of seaweed and actually identify two different species of seaweed which have the best performance in reducing the methane emissions and improving the weight gain of ruminant animals when fed out as a supplement. Trials are ongoing, but this represents a really fantastic opportunity for seaside communities, especially in the developing world, who are no longer able to fish and live their traditional lifestyles, to engage in a new industry developing seaweed for supplements. Studies in using supplements derived from seaweed have found that livestock put on condition 17% faster with no added side effects or health consequences. This represents another opportunity as well, because methane is a powerful greenhouse gas which contributes largely to Australia's greenhouse gas outputs. By using this, we can have a win-win situation for both producers and the environment by creating a system where food is converted a lot more efficiently into energy and growth for the animal, and the environmental consequences of animal production are lessened. The question of the biggest challenge facing getting this message across, I believe, stems from just a sort of information oversaturation. There are so many supplements out there and so many different products, some of which have scientific merit, others don't. But every week when you look in the land, you'll see another story about the latest and greatest thing that's going to change the way we farm forever. And I believe that information saturation makes it hard for people to actually know what is going on and what is really going to get proven results and what is going to have flow-on consequences. As for the second question, I believe that ties in with this. The second question asks, what are some ways which we could improve the ability of scientists to communicate with everyday people. And to me, I think the stem source of many of the biggest issues facing society is a lack of basic scientific literacy. We have people who can't leave school without being able to read and write, and yet they are not shown all of the basic principles of scientific literacy and the ability to fact check, and a system where everybody's opinion holds equal weight, and a lack of respect for data. And I think, as well as extension being about scientists talking down to everyday people, I think we should be considering a paradigm shift where we try and bring everyday people up to scientific level. I think that would have a big flow-on effect in a lot of different aspects.